Okay, are we live this time? Yes, no, maybe? Hello? Yes, okay, finally. Holy crap. All right, we're having all kinds of technical difficulties and stupid shit going on tonight. So I'm going to blame that on and the CERN super collider and whatever else I have. Let's get the housekeeping out of the way and then get this going. We're going tonight. Sorry, folks. We're going to try to muddle on through this. My partner Rennie is he's on a bit of the weather, so it's just going to be me, and we're going to have the we'll have the honor of Mr. Blaze or Blazeman is going to stick around and help us try to get through this mess tonight. So anyway, housekeeping first. Thank our sponsors, i12 GIA, Peace of Mind Training, Global League Tactical Training. Our opinions are our own. They in no way reflect anything from those our sponsors or the FFN network. Okay, let's go. Tonight we are going to do squatters, which I'm sure is everybody's favorite subject. And I'm not talking about defecation. We're talking, well, actually, we kind of are. We're talking about people that move into other people's houses and take them over. So let's go. Mr. B, are you there?
All right. Hey, good evening, my friend. How are you doing?
Let's go ahead and run the first video.
All right, no, we're here. How you doing?
Yeah.
You got me?
Hey, doing good, Mr. B. How the hell are you?
I'm not doing too bad at all. You know, I was doing a lot better until I got a phone call about my ex-wife. Again, someone called and told me that she now has gone into going into a train station. She opens her legs up and she goes pointing down there and she goes, "All aboard!" It's a joke.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I kind of figured that. Take my wife.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so Fogman, this is just a weird night, but well, keep going, brother. Yeah. Everything's working. You have a delay with us.
All right.
At least 3 seconds. Okay, so keep that in mind.
I noticed.
Who I do?
Yes, Fogman, you have the delay.
Wow.
Actually, that one was just 4 seconds. Watch, B. Watch what happens.
What the fuck?
I'm going to say this, and as soon as I say this, you hear it.
B, don't up. Talk. Let him. Never mind. All right, continue. There's a delay.
All right, we'll figure it out. We'll be all right. Holy shit.
Wow.
All right, you're wearing a tie tonight, which is pretty damn stylish. I'm wearing my my new T-shirt here, which is Toyota for regime changes on a budget. If you know what technicals are, you know, with the machine gun, Toyota pickups with a rocket launcher or some such shit on the back. Yeah, well, that's kind of what that's
Absolutely.
all about.
Don't let this bother you. Anyway. I'm just doing this to hide my Italian sweater that's underneath. So don't let this bother you at all.
You know, they make wax and shit for that if you want to.
No. They don't make enough wax for that. No, not here. Not this one. All right.
Let's talk about squatters. Let's run the first video on squatters so we have something to start with.
2 suspected squatters arrested for killing a woman in her New York City apartment, stuffing her body in a duffel bag and stealing her car. As squatting plagues the nation, there are numerous internet forums offering how-to guides to getting into a home and establishing a right to be there. So why has squatting become such a widespread problem, and what can people do to protect themselves? Here to discuss is Senior Attorney of Property Rights for Pacific Legal Foundation, Mark Miller. Mark, thanks for being with us this morning. You know, I remember in law school talking about adverse possession, and some of these things you're like, wait, why does this make sense? How do you have your own clear property rights, you know, subverted by somebody just comes in and says, hey, now it's mine? Explain to us really quickly the legal background of squatting.
Well, you know, that's exactly right. But this is nothing like adverse possession. We certainly did learn in first year of law school that, if you were to move into someone else's property that was empty, it wasn't clear who owned it, and you were openly living there after a number of years, 5 years in some states, 7 years in other states, longer in others, you could go to court and say, I have a right to be here. I've taken over it. That's not what squatting is. Squatting is nothing like adverse possession, and we need our state legislators to start changing the laws to make it clear that squatters do not have any rights to properties at all.
But give me the rationale. Why do squatters have rights, Mark?
Well, I think it's basically an oxymoron. It's a misunderstanding of the law. Too often, and particularly in our blue states, we treat squatters who have no right to be on your property as if they are tenants. We're seeing this in New York, Illinois, and other states. They just move in. You're not paying attention perhaps for a month in New York, even shorter in other states. And then they say, well, I have a right to be here. They wave around a piece of paper, say, I have a lease. And then law enforcement doesn't really know what to do. And it puts you in a position where you have to evict them.
Oh, so they wave around a fraudulent lease that they could draw up, and then a cop's not a judge. He can't sit there and litigate whether or not something is a legitimate contract or not. And now you've got this standoff. Here's some tips, by the way, for avoiding squatting. Lock doors and windows at all times. Routinely check the property for any signs of entry. Make friends with your neighbors and ask them to alert you if they see anyone on the property. Post no trespassing signs on the doors and yard gates. Mark, I know the situation you described for us could happen literally overnight, but do these types of situations that are occurring across the country, is it like somebody goes on vacation, they go away for a long weekend? Like, when does this squatting take place?
Well, that's exactly right. The squatters are looking for houses that are easy marks or for apartments. So you need to take measures, as you just said, get to know your neighbors. You want your neighbors to alert you. If they know you and they see something amiss, they're going to call you. I can remember my grandparents who were snowbirds. When they were down in Florida, if something was amiss at their house, the neighbors would call them, or even the police would call them. So get to know your local officer. You need to have signs up, make it clear. You want your house to look lived in. The squatters, just like a pickpocket in Times Square, are looking for an easy mark. So what you need to do is make it clear the squatters need to go bother somebody else, not you.
Okay, two questions just as a follow-up short on our way out. One, where is this happening across the country? Like, where is it more pronounced a problem than other places? And two, what's in it for the squatters? A couple of days, night, long-term stay? Like, why all the effort on behalf of the squatters?
Well, it's especially happening on that first question, especially happening on the coast, because housing has gotten so expensive. We need our local and state governments and federal government to make it easier to build housing and cheaper. If there's more housing, this is a law of supply and demand. We have a demand for housing. We need to make housing cheaper. And the reason squatters are doing it is free place to live. Who wouldn't want that? But we need to make it clear to them that they can't do it, that there will be consequences. We need to have laws that make it clear to squatters, if you move in, you're going to be removed very quickly.
Free place to live for a little while. We need to speed up what it means a little while, to your point. Mark Miller, great to have you on the show this morning, helping us understand this issue. Thanks.
What do you think about that, Mr. B?
Well, yeah, I have seen such things happen. As a matter of fact, in my own, there was a time where I was a property owner and manager for a number of years, and I have seen such things happen. And yeah, it can be, especially depending on what state you're in. And the laws vary from state to state to state. Yeah. It can be an absolute nightmare to get rid of things. Here in New Hampshire, there are no such things as like a winter protection or whatever else. In the state or Commonwealth of Massachusetts, there's a certain thing from a time in October up until I believe the end of March or early April. Nobody, no matter what the situation is, nobody is evicted out of the property under any circumstances unless there's something that is catastrophically egregious, such as manufacturing of weapons of mass destruction or something. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. If you got somebody who's got a meth lab, they don't give a flying if there's fart. No.
Yeah.
No, you can't evict them. But
well,
however, the laws vary from state to state, and the times that it can take to get people out from state to state is be enormous. anybody who owns property, who may be a property manager, or just have property like those poor snowbirds or whatever else. If they've got a problem with squatters are trying to get them out, they have got to be flush with cash, because they're going to be back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to the courts.
That is
And
just crazy.
if you get these professional tenant types or whatever else, they can drag you back and forth and whatever else and exhaust every last penny out of your savings before you can get these people out. And what they do to your property is horrific, or can be horrific.
Yeah, I cannot understand the concept of this at all. It just won't sink into my brain. I did one of the things on that particular video that kind of got my attention was when the guy said the neighbors don't pay attention to this stuff. Well, for example, last night my neighbors across the street's got a real nice Harley in his garage. His garage door is always closed, but yesterday his garage door was open all day, which I thought was kind of unusual. So 7 o'clock last night, I called him up and said, "Dude, are you home or what?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, I'm here." I said, "Well, you left your fucking garage door open." Oh shit, I forgot all about it. Go fix it. But neighbors don't do that anymore. You know what? Why? And I don't.
Well,
If somebody moves into the house across the street and there's nobody there, so I'm going to say something.
There are a lot of people that they are just focused on their own lives, whatever else. My own situation here, before I had met my current wife, she had been living in this home, and she had a neighbor to her backyard, and she lived here for a good 10 or 12 years. Never once said a word to the fellow. They never said a word to each other. I started talking with the fellow over the fence or whatever else. She never even knew what the fellow's name was. No. It's just people learn differently from back in the 1950s, Warden June time. People they aren't as neighborly as they can be or should be. And it's unfortunate, but in the purest sense of situational awareness, which you people are very, very big about, this is one of the most important things that you could possibly have.
Exactly. Well, and it's a whole protector thing too. I mean, we got to start taking care of each other. We've so lost the concept of neighbors and families and everything else, and I just don't understand. It's making me crazy. And this poor lady goes to kick these assholes out, and she ends up beaten to death and stuffed in a duffel bag. What the hell, man?
Yeah, well, she got exactly the wrong kind of people squatting in her property. It doesn't happen to everybody, but you know what? There are more and more. There are people who have zero respect for life. They have no respect for a person's private property by any means, but zero respect for life.
Exactly. That's a good point, and that's going to become a problem with a lot of the illegal aliens or illegal immigrants, visitors, whatever the fuck you want to call them, that are showing up here too, because they come from countries where life is meaningless. You can have somebody whacked for a 6-pack of beer, and they're not going to fit in. They're not going to assimilate with our world here.
Please forgive me. I hope you're not going to be worried about that. I'm not going to pussyfoot about this thing. They're not dreamers. They're not visitors. They're not transients. They are illegals.
Yeah. Oh, I was being facetious.
They are criminals. Call the spade and get on with it and live with it like it's supposed to be. If people start doing these things, if they start adhering to the laws, more seeing the structure, maybe there actually will be a change that comes about that needs to come about.
I would hope. There are other ways to deal with this whole squatter issue. The first lady got beaten to death. The second lady, the lady in our next video, had a bit of a different approach. So let's go ahead and run that one.
A squatting showdown caught on camera. It is a scene that highlights how some homeowners across the country are battling squatters who try to use the law to take control of a property. Trevor Alt is here with the story. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, Rebecca. So these headlines come as the NYPD says a homeowner was actually murdered by a pair of squatters that she walked in on. And officials want to avoid potentially dangerous confrontations. But the process of legally removing a squatter can be extremely frustrating and expensive and time consuming. And some homeowners, like the one we're about to see, are fed up.
You shouldn't be trying to steal my house. Yes, you are.
This morning, a squatter standoff caught on camera by our station WABC. There's a man sleeping right there. Get out of my house.
Adele Andaloro says she inherited this New York City house, but a group of people moved in and changed the locks. The NYPD called in, arresting one man.
Why is it that I have to leave and he doesn't have to leave?
Because technically he can't be kicked out. You need to go to court.
But this man, forcing his way back inside, was allowed to stay. He told investigative reporter Dan Krauth he signed a lease in October, though he showed no proof.
So how does this all end then? When do you leave?
The way it ends is either she pays me my money that I put into the house, pay me the money, and I'll leave, or send me to court, and we deal with the judge in court.
In New York City, squatters have tenants' rights after 30 days, making this a landlord-tenant dispute. So when Adele had the locks changed again...
You're getting arrested right now?
Being arrested.
For what?
For being in my own home.
Police then took her away in handcuffs for unlawful eviction. When it comes to squatters, homeowners across the country have to navigate a slew of laws which vary by state. In Chicago, Danielle Cruz told our station WLS when she tried to sell her home in 2022, a woman moved in claiming to have a lease.
So we show up with the cops, and there's a young woman in there with all of her belongings. They said unfortunately they couldn't prove that she was trespassing. We have to go to court and follow the eviction process.
But one man is fighting back.
I understand you've been squatting at this residence.
ABC's Jacqueline Lee met with Flash Shelton, who calls himself the squatter hunter.
Is this a growing problem?
I think that it's a growing problem like anything else.
When a squatter took over his mother's house, Flash had her lease the home to him, and then he moved in with the squatter until they left. He's now using the same tactic at other homes.
I would have had a right as a leaseholder to go in, move in on him, put cameras on, and eventually lock him out, and that I could force him to civilly try to fight to get back into a property that he couldn't prove that he had a legal right to be in.
Experts advise always getting an attorney to navigate legal evictions, but warn it can be costly and take several months.
Squatters are looking for an opportunity, and if they think a property is not being maintained or visited, they may make attempts to enter that property that they have no rights to enter in.
And part of the reason this is even possible is because of loopholes in tenancy laws. For obvious reasons, you can't have a landlord be able to change the locks at any time if there's a person who is staying there. But of course, this process can be maddening, and that New York case at the beginning of the piece, that's still unresolved. She will have to go to court to get those people out of her house.
How weird. You know, we're living in the upside down here, man. That's all there is to it. You don't need ID to vote. You know, you can just decide if you're a male or a female or a toaster oven, you know, and have that designated on your driver's license. You know,
or marry the toaster oven for that matter.
Or, well, yeah, excellent point. Yeah, I just don't understand any of this. I'm so confused.
No. Well, you see, the problem here is with your inability to understand is you were raised with good, proper values. I'm guessing that you were raised in a home where if it wasn't a cohesive home with a two-parent home, mother and father, and perhaps other siblings or whatever else, at least you had a mother and a father who were both involved in your upbringing, and they taught you the right way of doing things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We no longer have that, and we haven't had that. We have children that are actually grandchildren or even great-grandchildren now in a society that has not had these values passed down, and largely they've been taught only to think of themselves. They haven't been nurtured. They've had a plastic thing put in their hand, a game where they sit down and they pay for 8 or 10 or 12 hours a day looking at this little plastic thing with batteries in it instead of having interactions with other children, with adults, and learning and growing and whatever else, and learning to care that something else matters besides their own stomach.
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, with people, with dogs, we socialize them. You take them out with other dogs. You know, you get them to know dogs and people and all that kind of stuff. We don't do that shit with people anymore. You're right. We just lock them in a room and give them Game Boys or TV or laptop and just leave them there so they don't know how to act. They're not taught, like you said. Everybody's entitled now. Everybody believes that the world owes them something, and manners have gone completely out the door.
Manners? What's that?
Yeah, exactly. You know,
But if you act in an ill-mannered way to one of these other entitled people, whoa, boy,
oh man,
are you gonna get a flamethrower in your face?
you know, I went to when I was growing up. My dad was an amateur actor. You know, he did a lot of plays and that kind of stuff. So when I was probably 6 or 7 years old. I don't really even recall, but I remember going to watch him in a play, and I started talking or something to my mom, and there was this older gentleman sitting next to me. Now this is something. It was in a gymnasium. It wasn't a fancy opera house. And this older gentleman, I remember he had a long beard, nicely trimmed, in a 3-piece suit. Looked over at me and said, "Young boys are to be seen and not heard." And that stuck with me that's all he said, just like that. And that stuck with me for the rest of my life. I was taught to open doors for women. Say yes, please, and thank you. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. Yes, sir. And that's gone. We just don't live that way anymore.
Yeah. And now with this extreme feminism that you have, you go ahead and open a door for a woman, and look what happens to you. They'll slap a lawsuit or call the police or some damn thing.
Yep.
Or whatever, because you're doing whatever.
Yeah,
it's absolutely horrific the way they look upon things, and they discount and devalue the good and the righteous things that should be making society work.
Yeah. We have another video coming up. This next one is a illegal alien influencer. I think he's from Venezuela, that is putting out TikTok videos, telling or instructing illegal aliens on how to become a squatter once they find their way into the United States. So we're going to get really pissed. Everybody's going to be pissed off about this.
They just don't miss a trick, do they?
They don't. So let's go ahead and run that one, and we'll talk about it after. Idiots.
A Venezuelan national dubbed the migrant influencer is at the center of controversy this morning. He has been using TikTok to coach migrants how to live in the U.S. by taking advantage of laws protecting squatters. Hannah Doba reports.
In his most recent controversial TikTok video, Moreno is telling his followers to avoid living on the streets in the United States. They can, quote, invade empty homes and live there, saying under U.S. law, if a house is uninhabited, it can be seized, referring to squatting rights in our country. That video garnered almost 4 million views.
As we have more migrants moving into cities, more homelessness, we are going to see more of it, more squatting.
James Burling is a property rights attorney.
But they're talking about all the advantages that you can get from squatting. It's inevitable that it's going to increase.
In past videos, the illegal migrant bragged that he came to the United States to vacation and now lives off U.S. taxpayers because he had a child in this country. He also tells his followers that he waits for Americans' hard-earned pension checks to come in every month. In another video, he is urging fellow Venezuelans to pay the fines of a 15-year-old migrant who allegedly shot a tourist in Times Square, saying, quote, today it could be him, tomorrow it could be one of you. But this recent video on squatting is making headlines, as Moreno tells his comrades that if they fix up an abandoned home that is deteriorated or in bad condition, they can get credits when the properties are sold. While Burling says that is not the case, the misinformation is now out there.
Well, I think publicity, like what we're seeing in TikTok and viral videos of that nature, are going to magnify the idea that squatting is an alternative to not having enough housing.
Wasn't that entertaining?
Wow. I wonder how much money he's earning off of these videos.
Well,
as an influencer.
Exactly. I just noticed today, I guess TikTok booted his ass.
Did
they? And yeah, he had like 10 million viewers or however that works. But, yeah, they booted his ass out of there. So he started another TikTok account apparently, and he's on there crying like a little bitch, holding his baby about how he lost all of his 10 million viewers, and everybody's racist in America.
They'll find him again.
Maybe see if you can find that maybe Blaze Man there, and while we're looking. Yeah, you can. All right. I guess we got a break coming up here pretty soon too. Do we have a break now?
Yep.
Okay.
And we are back. Well, Chad, it looks like we're back online, and the squatting.
Not a day that goes by that
discussion
I
that
don't
we're
wake
having.
up. Yeah, are we still there? Go
ahead.
Are we back? Yeah.
Yeah, we're here. We're live. Go ahead.
Let's finish this up first. The squatting stuff. Okay, good. Let's finish the squatting stuff up first, then we can move on to the other topics. There's not a day that goes by that I don't wake up in the morning and thank God that I live in Florida, because down here in the free state of Florida, we have our shit together, as the next video will evidence.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. All 50 states have what are called squatters' rights. That can make it very difficult to have someone removed from your own property. But how and when these laws are enforced varies by state. The Florida lawmakers have now passed a bill to make it easier to get rid of squatters. It's House Bill 621. It authorizes property owners to request action by the sheriff's office to immediately remove them from your home. The bill passed the Florida Senate last week.
Tanner Stewart is in the studio to break down this new piece of legislation and how it impacts here locally.
So, Bob, before the bill was signed into law, squatters are considered tenants in the eyes of the law. Now squatters will soon face criminal charges for violating what was once within their rights.
39 yeas, 0 nays, Madam President.
In a unanimous decision, the Florida Senate is making it easier for property owners to rid their areas of squatters. Senator Keith Perry led the charge on House Bill 621 that allows property owners to file an affidavit showing the property doesn't belong to those who are occupying it. The bill creates stiff penalties for violators, like a second-degree felony for damage to a home and first-degree felony for fraudulently selling or leasing the property. The sheriff's required to serve the notice and remove unwanted occupants without delay.
This is an important bill. If you see the stories of what happens, it is egregious what these people are getting away with through the current legislation.
WEAR has covered several squatter-ridden properties over the years, including this home on Lejeune Drive. It's since been cleaned up, but not before a months-long battle in the courts. Pensacola City Councilwoman Jennifer Breyer helped find a solution here, but says the time it took was overwhelming.
We still had to give them notice that they were being evicted. They had to be given time, and that, I think, is shocking to the owners, that someone is illegally within their home and yet they have to still go through that process. So I can see how this new law would really aid people that are in that situation.
Breyer says this bill is long overdue for both property owners and residents living nearby.
It was affecting their sense of security, their sense of well-being, their financial aspect. For people who have had someone overtake their home, the idea that they have to do rights with a person that is essentially stealing their home is pretty overwhelming and shocking to them.
The bill's now awaiting the governor's signature. And when it comes to squatters' rights, the bill does allow for cause of action if someone is wrongfully removed from.
Yeah, that's what Florida's doing. They're being pretty proactive with dealing with this issue here, and they're just not going to put up with it. Maybe the other states will pay attention and start trying to figure out something to do.
Well, so it really is about time. I mean, the entire thing about squatters' rights and this and that, whatever else, this is something that is, the laws are archaic. I believe the theory and so forth of squatters' rights, if I'm not mistaken, goes back to somewhere in the 18th century, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, as I said, the laws and so forth, the idea and concept itself is archaic. There's no reason in the world for it. And if ever there were something to give someone a desire to own a gun, it has to be finding squatters in your property.
Boy, isn't that the truth? I think our next video covers squatters' rights and does a history, and then we'll finish up with a squatter hunter in California who has developed a system. You can hire this guy to go boot him out of your house. So let's do the squatter rights one, and then we'll go right into the squatter hunter. That's his name. The squatter hunter.
I want to meet that guy and buy him a drink.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about squatters. So we first have to determine whether we have a tenant or a squatter. And just because you do not have a lease doesn't necessarily mean that they're a squatter. The law will consider an occupant, a tenant, if they are making any sort of payments on any sort of regular basis. That could be utilities, that could be they're living there for free, but they're covering the HOA fees. If they're paying anything on a regular basis, whether they have a lease or not, whether you have agreed to allow them to be a tenant or not, the law will see them as a tenant and you have to evict to get them out. Now, if they aren't paying anything and they're a true squatter, they broke in, they set up shop, and they're just living there without your permission, you do still have to go through a legal process to get them out. You cannot use force. If you call the police to remove them, they're going to say it's a civil matter, we're not going to do anything. So what you have to do is you have to file a lawsuit, and it is called an unlawful detainer. It is similar to an eviction, but it's different. There's no notice that's required beforehand. It is more of an expedited action, and there really aren't many defenses to it. Unless they can produce some sort of agreement or some permission that they have from an owner of the property to be there, you're gonna get them out. The downside is yes, you have to file a formal lawsuit. Yes, you probably have to pay an attorney to do that for you. And no, you're probably not going to recoup any of those costs.
So yeah, that's kind of what's going on with that. So let's go. All right, that finishes that up. Let's go talk to the squatter hunter, and we can be done with this subject.
Maybe. You do have a comment in from a viewer.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, did you?
Hey, Metal Dragon,
Miss a
where,
rent payment?
Yeah, cops
Miss
will
a rent
remove you
payment
on the
here, and
spot.
cops will remove you on the spot. Wherever that is, I don't
Oh,
know where that is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good. Well, that's actually a good point, though. Yeah, you do get booted out for missing rent payments, but apparently, if you just move in with no paperwork, But it's the same thing. I mean, you show up at a voting place with no ID, they just with 100 ballots in your hand, so what difference does it make? I'm not surprised. All right, you want to do the last one for the squatter hunter? Let's see what this guy's all about.
Now at 10:30, squatters destroying property and moving into empty homes, refusing to leave. It's a growing problem in Southern California. Now there's a possible solution, a way to squash the squatters. He calls himself the squatter hunter, and for a price, he can get rid of the unwanted guests.
Chris Wolf is live in the Hollywood Hills with a look at how he does it. Chris.
Yeah, Micah and Sam, it's an incredible story. He has dedicated his life to helping homeowners clear their properties of squatters, and he's fighting to change the laws that allow these intruders to do what they do. He recently removed a squatter from a home here in the Hollywood Hills. The victim, an elderly woman. So meet the squatter hunter.
What do you have to say for yourself? You going to talk to me now?
Tonight you want to talk?
Yeah,
Have
I
a
wanna
civil
talk.
conversation?
Yeah.
At 9 o'clock at night? Are you serious?
Caught in the act, caught on camera, squeezing out squatters.
I have a lease for this property.
I don't give a
You've heard and seen the horror stories, many here on KTLA. Intruders gaining entry or breaking into unoccupied homes and residences, in some cases mansions, throwing wild parties and living rent and care free. The number of cases seems to be growing, and one man close to the situation says many offenders are not necessarily homeless, but rather career criminals looking for easy street. Well, now they've met their match.
I'd say, anti-squatter activist, squatter hunter, squatter remover, just do what I have to help people get their squatters out.
Some people might call you a type of exterminator.
Yeah, well.
57-year-old California native Flash Shelton is devoting his life to squashing squatters and helping homeowners. It all started in 2019 when his mother was selling her Northern California house after his father died. While the home was empty and on the market, 7 strangers moved in, furniture and all. Local law enforcement said there was nothing they could do. That's when Flash sprang into action.
The stuff is in the house. You told me that it was accidentally delivered and it was in the garage.
No, I didn't say it was in the garage.
Figured out that if they could take a home, I could take a home. Squatters sometimes, in many cases, have a fake lease. So the first thing I did was I had my mom write a lease in my name.
He waited for an open window, no pun intended, when the squatters had left the property.
Went in and put up cameras, secured the back door that had been broken into. I have to start putting stuff in the driveway, and so that I can lock it up, because once I leave, you're not going to be able to get back in.
Shelton seized an opportunity, found a new calling, and became the squatter hunter. His operation has exploded with viral videos on his website and YouTube channel. The clips receiving millions and millions of views.
You ain't gonna be sneaking up on me in the middle of the night.
Flash Shelton's fees start at $5,000. He always works with law enforcement, and he does his homework to assess the threat before moving in. For more information on the squatter hunter and efforts to change squatters' rights laws, go to our website.
So there you have it.
Quite
So $5,000 to him, or
enterprising gentleman.
Yeah.
If he gets the job done, that's fine. It's fantastic. Pardon me?
Yeah. Legislators and politicians. I said legislators and politicians, pay attention. Do your damn jobs. This is the shit you're supposed to be concerning yourselves with. Don't leave it for the poor cops or us to go keep having to take out your trash for you. Those cops have better shit to do. They are right about it being a civil matter in most cases. They shouldn't have to deal with this shit at all. But if legislators would get some laws in the books to stop this shit from happening, then it wouldn't be a problem. So just do it. Damn it. So there.
I got a great story to tell you if you'd like to hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Again, this all goes back to when I had owned the rental property. This is kind of closer towards the end of my tolerance for the things. I had a situation where I had tenants that were on my top floor. Beautiful apartment it was. It had been completely gutted and renovated, floor to ceiling. I spared no expense doing anything. It was a beautiful apartment. These people were inside there, and they were doing all right, and then they started falling into problems, going out, getting drunk all the time, and they were doing their illicit sort of things or whatever else. And I come to find out about them, and I did not allow for anybody any kind of drug activity in my property. So I showed up one night to collect the rent, and like I always do, I knock on the door, and I knew that they were inside, but nobody's answering. I said, tell you what, I said, I can understand you're there, whatever else, maybe you got a problem, whatever else, the door's not going to open now. I said, I'm going to come back here at 8 o'clock tonight, and one way or the other, this door is going to open. And I showed up at about 7:55 with my pickup truck out in front of the building. I got out of my car, truck. I reached into the back of the bed and I pulled up my chainsaw. And I started the engine, my chainsaw, and I walked into the building, and I walked up one flight of stairs, a second flight of stairs, up to the third floor landing. And I gave that chainsaw a couple of pumps, and then I knocked on the door. What do you know? That door opened up.
Imagine that.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Hey, they
actually paid me rent.
Wow, were you by any chance wearing a hockey mask and coveralls?
Oh no, absolutely. I was just in my blue jeans and shirt and my cap that said "Slumlord" on top, and that was it.
That's pretty cool. Okay, well, I guess hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad that worked.
508-974-4231 for people who want to call and talk to us.
What you talking about?
Yeah, we love to talk to you folks, all our illustrious viewers. You have no idea how much we appreciate you guys. So give us a call because you're entertaining. Mr. B, with your help, we've managed to salvage tonight. we've saved the show. I think it's
all in a day's work. My friend. What are we going to talk about now, my friend?
I know. Yeah, that's happens. That's what happens when you work with highly trained professionals.
Hey, it happens. You know what they say? Improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's my next tattoo, by the way. I don't know. We have an assortment of things. I see we have Puff Daddy videos, and we have Something about nuclear fusion. I'm waiting for the atomic blast.
Yeah,
And
no fusion. It was that you're talking about fission.
fission.
Fusion doesn't do the
Fission.
blast, just makes the energy.
Right, fission. Yeah, I misread that. I'm getting my glasses on. And something else I was reading about earlier too, with the eclipse and everything else is happening. Apparently, on the April 8th, the same day of the eclipse, they're going to fire up the CERN Super Collider again. Apparently, it's been either down for maintenance or repair, or modifications or whatever. So on the same day, we're going to be dealing with the eclipse, the eclipse and all their weirdness with that. And now the CERN Super Collider, which is probably just going to create a giant black hole and suck everything into it. So don't pay your
bigger than the one
taxes.
that Washington's generating with our national debt.
God, isn't that the truth, man? Speaking of which, don't pay your taxes before April 15th because we may no longer be here anymore.
What are you going to do?
We got to
better file an extension.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be we're short tonight because we were late getting started, and we only have a few more minutes left. So I don't know. What do you think of what's up with Puff Daddy? Somebody made a really interesting comment the other day. They said start looking for distractions in the media and the world in general. Do you think between Puff Daddy one day, the boat crashing into the bridge the next day, what are they trying to hide? What are they trying to keep us from discovering?
Left hand, right hand. While the left hand is doing this, what is the right hand doing? And that is exactly what you've got going on over here. It is Distractionville, my friend.
Yeah, don't peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, someone had said, "Hey, Mr. B, are you going to address Puff Daddy this evening?" So I did address Puff Daddy. I came up with Puff Daddy. I said, "Who gives a flying fuck?" Trimmed up my paper and threw her off to the side. Let's keep our attention on Kamala Harris telling the Israelis that there's going to be consequences if you go out and do your job.
Oh,
and
I know.
Crazy things of that nature.
What in the world is that? Well, and then we also have Sleepy Joe talking about when he was a young poor child growing up, and young poor black child growing up, he rode a train across the bridge that
was built in 1977.
Right, there were never any trains on it, but he apparently thought that. So yeah, there's way so much stuff going on right now.
And that bullshit blew up in Kamala's face.
Located underground between the borders of France and Switzerland at CERN, the Large Hadron Collider is the world's most powerful particle accelerator. The giant donut-shaped collider uses superconducting magnets and beams of protons to smash known particles together at extremely high energies. And now, after a 3-year-long gap, it has been turned back on. Now that the LHC is officially up and running, it's already breaking records for the highest energy particle collisions ever performed. It's all pretty exciting, with the teams involved searching for more information on the God particle, the Higgs boson, and signs of dark matter, antimatter, and more. It's no doubt that these new upgrades at the collider are now set to bring forth discovering revelations that could alter our understanding of physics forever. But some new photos from June, when it was switched back, now have emerged. And people are worried that this might finally be the proof that CERN has transported us to a different dimension. These incredible photos taken above CERN's Large Hadron Collider have sparked new conspiracy theories and fears that portals are opening up. The images appear to have been taken on June 24th, the same day CERN scientists started the new Wake experiment. Welcome to Lab 360. It's time to explore. The CERN LHC being switched back on has given way to some very concerning and some very bizarre theories. And this image is now the biggest concern of them all, especially for the conspiracy theorists. In the past, CERN has conducted experiments to create artificial clouds to better understand global warming. This year has seen a variety of extreme climate disasters, from flooding in Pakistan to wildfires across Europe. The intensity of these events has been catastrophic, with drastic evaporation of surface waters, drying of areas which usually have heavy rains and increasing rainfall in those that don't. There have been hailstorms in summer and extreme heat waves.
I gotta say, this is
while all of this can
pretty
be perfectly
interesting, right,
explained by
guys?
climate change and global warming, many yet believe that this
is,
is the cause of a portal opening up that is messing with nature.
I always thought that oh boy, I always was very interested in the Hadron Collider, you know, and I did some research on it one time, and like videos of actually when they were testing something or whatever, so a long time ago, actually like a little black hole was created or some kind of weird lights that how can I explain it? It's like an upside down tornado, if you would, you know.
Who are you kidding? They said Hadron Collider. You thought they said high clock, and you said I'll take two.
Oh yeah, but to see now, if I was to teach you all in the class, you know, your butt be sitting out in the hall right now for that little snide remark there, pal. You know, so just you know, keep your audience up to speed of what's going on, because you got people joining. You have a very interested commenter and someone from New Hampshire. So I put them up. You guys can read them. Okay.
Did you see? We just got a last one from Metal Dragon. There. Have y'all seen the Netflix movie "Leave the World Behind"? No, I refuse to watch it. But the Francis Scott Key Bridge is taken out during that movie, and a huge ship, I guess, runs into the beach someplace. Now, isn't that's that thing that Obama production company put together? That's about how all white people are bad and all the rest of that stupid shit. That's it. Kind of. I did not know that. I was not aware of that.
That must be why they gave him the world.
That's exactly. You know what I mean? You know, I like this person right now. I like this because they're right on point. You know, and it's like you know, I haven't seen the movie, but I'm into documentaries like that. You know what I mean? Look, you know, we went from like the beginning of 1980, right, to all of a sudden within a 20-year span, by the 90, the tech was just starting to fly off the shelves. Okay. And by 2000, it was crazy. The president of Skunk Works in 1981, he had passed away. Okay. He was the president. He knew everything that was going on. And in an interview with him, he had said to the person behind the camera, and he says, and this was at like 81, I think, is when this was done. He passed away. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But anyways, he said they were already 50 years ahead in technology.
That's
okay.
Interesting.
Okay. And you can look that up as well, you know? And so, yeah, I'm definitely going to check out that movie on Netflix. Y'all want to continue with some more of the Hadron and give everybody some cool ideas of what's going on?
Yeah, I think we should. That was something that definitely got my attention. I mean, and plus the way it coincides with the eclipse. I mean, did anybody else have a giant black hole causes the end of the world on their bingo card during the eclipse? No, I don't think so.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
So let's work on that some more.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Right now, Fogman, that could be a potential show with you and I.
I was just thinking the same thing. Let's do it, brother.
The conspiracies.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think B's into stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd love that kind of shit, man.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Okay, so this let's see, a Metal Dragon. Well, I fucking like that. Metal Dragon Braveheart.
Yeah.
Obama visits 10 Downing Street.
Hold on,
2 days
B.
later.
Let me put it up, man. You got to jump the gun. Go ahead.
Obama visits 10 Downing Street 2 days later. Tajiks mercenaries of the Ukrainian army hit the mall in Russia. I don't believe that these are mercenaries of the Ukrainian army.
No.
Okay. No, not at all. This has everything to do with Afghanistan. Payback for what the Russians did in Afghanistan over a 20-year period.
Absolutely, Metal Dragon. Yeah, I disagree with that too as well. How about you, Fogman?
What's that? About them being Ukrainian or Afghanistan?
The comment
with Obama? Oh yeah. I mean, that's kind of a secret visit too. I'm thinking also more about their.
Look, and I thought I had enough to do behind me.
Yeah,
in front of me, I should say.
That I think that whole situation involves the Chechens. They're trying to reestablish dominance over Putin and Russia. So, plus these guys are supposed to be from Tajikistan.
You think that these Islam, ISIS, these fanatics or whatever, the Chechens let them cross the border? Chechens, whatever, the Jetsons.
It's the Chechen Muslims in Russia. They have a history of hitting shopping malls. They attacked a theater previously. I think was it 1991, I guess. And Spetsnaz went in and gassed a bunch of people and tried to get them out. So they have a history of that anyway. So
Chet, I want to throw something in your direction. See how if this sticks.
Okay.
Obama goes over and visits the 10 Downing Street and has a secret meeting with the Prime Minister of Great Britain. Okay. I think that meeting was in case their efforts against Donald Trump are unsuccessful and he winds up becoming the president-elect again. I think Obama is trying to rally enough support to turn around and get support for a coup.
Yep, I wouldn't be at all surprised. I would put nothing past those little bastards.
Wait a minute now, B. That's the second time you said that you think that there's going to be some kind of attempt on former President Trump's life.
Mm-hmm.
That's the second time. You just said it on, excuse me, i12 GIA, Real Talk, Real People. And you also had said that on, I can go back and archive sometime. But see, that's what I need to hire somebody.
I've said it on The Way We See It. I've said it on my own program, and I've said it here now.
Well, I don't remember you saying it on The Way We See It. I think it was on your show, and now here. I only heard you just the second time that I had heard you say that. But you gotta tell us more. Why?
I believe. Well, number one, everybody knows that JoJo Jack in a Box is nothing more than a puppet.
Yep.
And whatever is coming up now, they have the what everybody is saying is unexpected advent of this Kennedy fellow who's going to run as a third party thing. This is a smoke grenade, is what this is.
Yep.
Kennedy they're popping the smoke. They're going to keep doing, and they're going to put up whoever it is, probably that Gavin Newsom schmuck, because Kamala baby ain't going to be it. They're going to put up Gavin Newsom or whatever else, and if he is unsuccessful, then Barack Obama and his thugs and his kind are going to do whatever they can to hold on to the stranglehold that they have
who's
here
gonna do
and turn
what?
us into a left-wing freaking
All right, so
dictatorship.
who's Obama gonna back? Who are the Democrats gonna get lickety split right now? They'll got, what do they got? Like a good 7 months, something to that effect. If they had to throw somebody in the mix right now, I don't understand.
All of these decisions have already been made. The people are waiting behind the curtain. The question is who. The answer that I don't have. I can only offer a speculation, and I will not offer that right now.
Those are huge allegations, don't you think?
I'm sorry?
Those are huge allegations.
These are my suspicions.
Huh?
This is what I suspect is happening. And I'm not. I am not alone. I know
you
I'm not
agree
alone.
with that? You agree?
I agree with that. Yeah. Interestingly enough, so does Rennie.
You got to tell me why. You got to tell me why.
Okay, I do. Yeah. Interestingly enough, Rennie had the same observation here a while back too. We had the same discussion. Yeah, I don't put anything past those evil bastards. You know, we've earlier in our conversation we were talking about.
That's
we
tough.
were well, it's true though. We were talking about distractions. All these little things are starting to pop up now. Okay, it's a if let's say Obama stages a coup, okay, the first thing that's going to happen will be the coup. The second thing will be martial law. The Constitution goes out the window. Obama installs himself as president again, because the Constitution has been suspended. Right at this point, he's already had his 2 terms, so he can't run. According to the Constitution, he can't run for the 3rd. Correct? Okay, so that's all that's stopping him. But if the Constitution no longer exists, then he can do whatever the fuck he wants. Right? So I would not. I hate to even think about something like that, because then we're at a civil war at that point, and that just makes my skin crawl. We're Americans, damn it. We just don't do this shit anymore.
And by the way, whoever the Speaker of the House is had better have a steel plate across their ass.
Boy, I'll tell you, based on everything else, I mean, look what they're doing to Trump, for example.
Fogman, you're starting to break up. You're starting to break up, sir.
I have. I think.
Are you wired?
There you have it. It's the wrong thing.
Are you wired or wireless? Wireless. Okay,
wireless.
We'll have to fix that. But right now, refresh your page.
And by the way, good evening. Welcome in again to Ann Hartford, all the way down in Florida. Annie, thank you very much for watching and tuning in.
B. Refresh your page, Fogman.
Yeah, I'm working on that as we speak, but I have.
Yep, no problem
here.
Right. Hey, Ann, how are you?
Must have really pissed somebody off.
You know, B, when I mentioned it last night on your, when you and I was talking on the way we see it, you're like, you're looking at me all weird, like you didn't know who it was that I was talking about. I was surprised that she didn't make the show yesterday. I hope everything is okay, Ann. Hope everything's you're doing well.
Back? Okay, good.
Yeah, I got you.
Right.
Okay. I got a good one. Want me to show it there, boss?
Let's do it.
All right, give me a sec. All right, B. Explain to the audience what we're about to show right now.
I have no idea what we're about to show.
We're talking about the CERN. B. The CERN.
A minute ago,
we're talking about this particle accelerator.
We're talking about the Large Hadron Collider, CERN.
Yeah. Right.
That's what we've been talking about, B.
Okay. Basically, what we're doing is particle A goes in this cylinder here. Particle B comes out this cylinder here at incredibly large, unimaginable speeds as they collide. It is all the energy is sent to your home to make toast.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, you never know.
Oh my God!
You never know. It's a possibility.
I've lost control of our show here, folks.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. I told you not to let me come in. No. All right.
He just showed up.
He says the same thing to women. Don't worry about it, Chet.
Tell your viewers, buddy, to what we're about to watch, pal.
I don't know what we're about to watch. You tell them.
Going back to the particle
accelerator.
Are
you kidding me? I just got done giving B shit about the same stuff. We're going to talk about, could a black hole exist on Earth?
Exactly.
The truth about the Large Hadron Collider.
And I'm assuming you have a video to that effect.
Yes.
Then
ready?
Play the video.
All right. We're rocking and rolling.
Okay.
Everybody's going and we're rocking, baby. I love this stuff, man.
Yeah.
In 2008, there was a lot of excitement when the Large Hadron Collider, the LHC, was first turned on in Switzerland. The particle accelerator was the largest ever made, representing decades of work by thousands of people, and it promised to unravel some of the deepest mysteries of the universe. But some people weren't so excited. In fact, they were afraid because they worried the LHC would make a black hole and destroy the Earth. I mean, that wasn't true. The fears were the result of some bad science reporting, and the LHC was never going to do that. But there was actually a kernel of truth to this idea. After all, there are some theoretical physicists who believed the LHC could make a black hole. It would just be a submicroscopic one that would fizzle out instantly. But while the accelerator hasn't found any of these micro black holes yet, it's still thought that maybe the next generation of particle accelerators will be able to. And if they can, that would provide evidence for some fascinating ideas in theoretical physics. We're talking about stuff like extraspatial dimensions. The foundation of this idea is that black holes aren't just things out in space, they are a natural consequence of Einstein's theory of general relativity. The theory tells us that matter warps the fabric of spacetime, and that the more matter there is in a region of space, the more it warps its surroundings and draws nearby objects closer. If there's a lot of matter stuffed into a very small volume, then space becomes so warped that it becomes impossible to move away from the matter if you get too close. That is a black hole. And while they usually form when huge stars collapse, they can technically form anytime there's enough matter in a small area. So it's possible to get some really tiny ones. Weirdly enough, though, making a tiny black hole doesn't involve something really heavy, but something really light. And that's where the Large Hadron Collider comes in. In many of its experiments, the LHC smashes extremely light particles, protons, together really fast. Like just a hair short of the speed of light fast. That allows us to learn all kinds of things about what happens when particles collide. Like we've seen some brand new particles emerge from these collisions. But the important thing to know here is that those superfast protons have a lot of energy for their size. And that's a big deal when it comes to black holes. See, we almost always talk about black holes forming because of some amount of mass, but in the high energy collisions of the LHC, mass and energy actually become interchangeable. That's the point of Einstein's famous E equals mc squared. It says that mass is proportional to energy. So theoretically, if you get some super fast moving particles really close together, then the energy of all that motion in one place can act like a lot of mass and be enough to form a black hole. Just, a very tiny one. The problem is, with our current understanding of physics, that cannot happen at the LHC. To make the lightest possible black hole, the particles would each need about 10 quintillion electron volts of energy. That's a 1 with 18 zeros after it, and while the LHC is good, it can get particles up to 14 trillion electron volts, it's not that good. But there's a reason some physicists are still thinking about all this, and it's because there's a catch here. These calculations all assume that there are no problems with general relativity. And, well, we already know that the theory has problems. I mean, it is very good and it makes lots of good predictions, but technically it also predicts it should be possible for places to have infinite density. And we know that's just not a thing. If infinities start popping up in your physics results, you know you probably pushed your theory past its limits. So what is likely happening is that general relativity is only approximately true, and there is a more correct theory we don't know about. That theory could produce prediction some of these theories make is that the space we live in actually has more than 3 spatial dimensions. That would mean that in addition to being able to go forwards, up, and to the side, it would be possible for things to go in a direction that is at right angles to all of those directions at once. And if you're having a hard time visualizing that, well, yes, because to our eyes, that's clearly not the world we live in. There is no direction that we can see.
It's like, follow the science, right? That's fun. We start out with squatters and end on a physics lecture.
Space time. Yeah. One of these days we can sit around. We can discuss my theories about the centers of the universe and so forth, and how it is actually fluid. But anyway,
it's kind of like the centers of a Tootsie Pop.
Yeah, something like that as well. Yeah, you can suck it
you-
and suck it and suck it.
How many looks
Like
does it take
Kamala
to get to
Harris.
the center? Yeah. Well, that's how. Yeah, we know that's how she got hired. Like a fat person in the middle of a bouncy house, you can't escape the pole. Thank you, Metal Dragon Braveheart. That's probably gonna give me nightmares tonight, I think.
That one gets the bell for the night.
Yeah. Oh shit! I forgot my chicken. I knew I was missing something.
How can you forget your chicken?
I don't know. Probably because everybody keeps calling it a shit. My chicken's gone. Probably because everybody keeps everybody keeps calling it a duck. That has something to do with it. There he is. Okay.
All right, there you go. Awesome.
So anyway, he's going to join us for the rest of the show here. How's that? Okay. Did we lose Blaze?
I'm right here, guys. I'm right here. You know,
All right.
I figured I was like, oh, watch this. I said I'm gonna stop, and they're gonna like, okay, what's happening now?
Now what do we do? Yeah.
You know, I got this one for B. He always loved this.
Yeah.
By the power of Grayskull.
That's what the excuse my French is. That's what the hydrogen colada thing there. What I say, pina colada? I don't know.
Yeah.
The hydrogen, the hydron collider there.
Hadron.
The hadron. Thanks, man. How many more times are you gonna let me say it?
It's a Roman thing. Like Hadron's wall.
Like a fat person in the middle of a bouncy house. You can't escape the pull.
You're a little behind there. You got a little lag there. You want to reset your.
Yeah, we talked about that 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
All right, fellas.
So Ann says scary stuff.
Yeah.
It is. I think that's what Ann, just send us an email and we can I can send it out to a couple of the shows. Me and Fogman, we're gonna get together.
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about something crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that sounds good.
And stuff to that effect. All right, Fogman, I'm gonna leave you on, and you can settle up with the show and say goodnight and all of that fun stuff. Thanks for letting me pop in too, bro. And let's hope that Rainey feels better, man. So we'll see what keep us informed, my friend.
Yeah, I will. I'll hear
good night,
from you
everybody.
All right, Blaze. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to wrap up with our outstanding guest for the evening that pretty much helped saved our show. So thank you very much, Mr. B. If I can ever return the favor, don't ever hesitate to ask. I will jump in and do whatever needs to be done. You are an excellent guest.
Thank you so very much.
An excellent host.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too. So we are going to finish up tonight. It's been an interesting evening. We've had some technical difficulties and had to work through some shit, but I want to thank our sponsors. There's one more thing before we go. I was invited to be a guest on the Awesome Journey podcast a couple of days ago. It's a couple of wonderful ladies, Christy and Kelly. They do interesting stories about people that have dealt with adversity in their lives. And they have a YouTube channel. They've been doing it forever. So if you get a chance, go check them out. It's called the Awesome Journey, and it's definitely worth your time. So I want to thank our sponsors, Global Elite Tactical Training, Peace of Mind Training, and as always, i12 GIA. And on that happy note, I'm going to say good night. Thanks, folks.